Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back here to the launch pad. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Give me a 5x5 in the chat if it's your first time. Welcome here to the launch pad. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at TLP, and here it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow because we believe that space is better together, and you're joining us for our live launch coverage of Starlink 4-12 launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. On your screen now, we're taking a live look at the weather conditions down at Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. We've had a very large thunder lightning cell go through the region, but it is clearing off, and over the last hour we have seen the weather status board go from pretty much all red to pretty much all green. There's a couple yellow spots the last time we saw it, so we should see an updated image here of the weather board in the next couple of minutes. But as always, as we get started, take a moment, engage that like button. It really does help us out. And let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. We'd love to see you, and we know we got people all over the world. If you've joined us over the last 36 hours for the rollout of SLS, thank you so much. It was an absolute blast to have our team down on location, the Vehicle Assembly Building. If you haven't yet, take a moment, take a look. Here is that board, and we've got greens across the board, which is a great sign that the lightning and the winds have calmed down at Kennedy and at Cape Canaveral, that they should be a go for launch. We'll hear an update from SpaceX Mission Control here in about 10 minutes or so from now. We're just waiting for them to begin their live coverage, and then we'll have live views from the pad. Tyler is on his way home already. We're unable to get him to stay out there this time, but we'll be returning on location here very soon and bring you full coverage from Kennedy. If you have questions tonight, you can send those in the chat. Two super easy ways to do those. One, we love answering your questions, so just send it in the chat. Take us at the Launchpad, and we will work on answering those. If you want to kind of derail the topic and get your question answered next, send it in as a super chat. It's a great way to jump the queue, but also help support what we do to make the space understandable and accessible for everybody and inform that next generation. Heather's tuning in from your desk covered in homework. Well, hopefully we don't distract you too much. You gotta get that homework done. See 5x5s in the chat there, so thank you so much. We appreciate that. We're gonna quickly run through everything we know about today's mission, and then we'll start taking your guys' live comments and questions as we wait for SpaceX to begin, so you can start sending those in. But as I said, you're joining us for our live launch coverage of Starlink 4-12, a Falcon 9 Block 5 mission launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, about 5 miles from the Space Launch System. So it'll be very interesting to see if SpaceX rotates one of their cameras and maybe gives us a glimpse of SLS tonight. Tonight they're launching 53 Starlink satellites on board the Falcon 9 Block 5 booster 1051. And tonight, SpaceX is going for another record. This would be the first time a Falcon 9 has flown for a 12th mission. The 12th time this booster will have launched with a 90-day turnaround time for this booster. Given what happened a couple launches ago with the solar weather and them losing that flight, tonight Starlinks will go into that elevated orbit of 317 by 304 kilometers. But they'll do testing there, and then they will, over the next couple weeks, make their way up to their final circular orbit in low Earth orbit of 540 kilometers before they're activated. We've got Just Read the Instructions downrange with Doug, the support ship, about 640 kilometers downrange. And we are going to be attempting to recover the fairing halves as usual. Doug will be scooping those out of the water about 670 kilometers downrange. Now, weather was 70% go for the day, but we did have that weather move through. But right now, the weather has completely cleared out of the Cape area, at least on their weather, and the board has gone all green, so that's a great sign. We are looking at the 145th Falcon 9 flight so far, and the 10th reflight of a booster in 2022. So we're seeing pretty much exclusively boosters that are being reflown, and this is SpaceX's 11th mission of 2022, so almost one a week, if not more. We've got Axiom 1 coming up in a couple weeks. We've got Crew 4 and many others, so make sure you join us for those. For it. If you don't know what Starlink is, head over to starlink.com. It is a internet provider from SpaceX, a global access that you can get your internet from satellites Very much developed for rural communities, but does work in cities as well. Wait times vary depending where you're at, so you can check that out over on their website. Kevin, I'm so confused why are their launch numbers the way they are. How many more will there be? Really great question there, Kevin. Yeah, they don't always know how to count for it. So the number to break down, 4 is which shell they're going into. So the Starlink, if you think of it like an onion, the Starlink constellation of a 40,000 is going to actually have 8 layers to it. We're working on the 4th layer, 4th shell, and it is going to take, I had it here, I might have gotten rid of that note. Let's take a look. Oops, yeah, got rid of that one. It is going to take approximately 30 to 35 launches to complete the 4th shell in itself. So we're seeing the 12th launch out of about 30 to 35 for this shell. But the thing is, sometimes they're preparing a rocket and a booster with its fairings for 4-12, 4-13, 4-14. Well, if 4-14 is ready and they have a launch window, they're going to launch it, even though 4-13 maybe isn't ready and hasn't launched yet. It doesn't actually really affect the Starlink system. They just put them into place, and then once they're ready to turn them on, they can do so. So that's why. Giving today's launch, if it does succeed, SpaceX will have successfully launched 2,335 Starlink satellites, with 2,117 remaining still in orbit. We saw that loss of about 43 or 44 a couple weeks ago with that solar storm, so we hope we don't see many more of those this year. Hey Chris, great to see you. Thanks so much. Great to have you all here. If you're just tuning in, take a moment, let us know where you're tuning in from. I know we got people all over the world, and if you guys have questions, let us know in the chat. You can tag us at the Launchpad. Are expecting SpaceX to go live here in just a couple of minutes, and we'll patch them in for live views of the pad and an update on how the weather is performing down at Kennedy Space Center. But as this weather from Kennedy rotates through on your screen here, we can see a lot of the lightning and weather has cleared out, and that they are currently seeing, even on this one, you can see their alert cleared in all of the sections, all the rings that they monitor. So that is a really great sign that they are still going for launch. We did hear that propellant load had begun on time, so another great sign that they are preparing for liftoff here. Currently, right now, they are saying at the T-minus 30-minute mark, they were reporting that they were still 70% go for launch, and that is coming down to about T-minus, about 16 minutes or so from now. So we are definitely getting closer to when that window will occur. SpaceX is going live here, so we're going to patch them in momentarily. Don't forget, take a moment, engage that like and subscribe button. It really does help us out to bring you the best possible coverage that we can. And we're going from there. Tyler from BC Canada, great to see another Canadian in here. Chris as well, up in Ontario, great to have you. Thanks for jumping on. No, we've had a couple late nights with the rollout, so glad to have you guys with us for another late night. We're kind of getting into one of those seasons that we normally see with the rockets, where every now and again we have a late launch, but that's okay. We love them and excited to see what is next in the future of space here. Was PSB Photo, good to see you. Wisconsin, Moon is out tonight, amazing. D, good day from Australia. Thanks for tuning in there. Appreciate it. Illinois. We moved a bunch of stuff around in the studio for the SLS rollouts. Let me make a quick adjustment here, and we'll be all set for SpaceX. Let's transit. There we go. Got a little bit of flash in there. Let's see what's going on here. Here we go. And we are working on patching in our live view from down at Kennedy Space Center. So bear with me here just one moment. Justin, did they scrub tonight's launch? No, we are still going for an attempt here. The weather has cleared out and is giving us a launch window that is still at 70% go. So we are waiting to see how that will continue. But everything right now showing that we should be good for launch. We're going to listen in to SpaceX mission control here in just a moment. Take a moment, engage that like button. It really does help us out. If you have questions, you can keep sending those in the chat, and we'll be answering them as the evening continues. Sir Rokel, thank you so much. Greetings from Okanagan County, Washington. And thank you so much for being a member for 6 months. We appreciate your support greatly.
Saturday, March 19th, and you're looking at a live view of Falcon 9 as it awaits its 12:42 a.m. Eastern Time launch from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, Space Launch Complex 40. My name is Jessie Anderson, and I'm joining you tonight on the West Coast from our headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Thanks for joining us for our 42nd overall Starlink launch. This also marks SpaceX's 11th launch in the first 11 weeks of 2022. As most of you may know, Starlink is a satellite internet constellation designed and manufactured by SpaceX. Starlink can provide high-speed, low-latency internet to people living in remote and rural locations around the globe. Our launch tonight is an exciting one. The booster taking our 53 Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit tonight is flying for a record-breaking 12th time. Now, weather for tonight has been a watch item, but as of now, we are go for weather at T0 with 70% favorable for liftoff tonight. Now, the range, vehicle, and satellites are all trending green for an on-time liftoff. If for some reason we don't lift off tonight, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow on Saturday, March 19th. For now, let's take a closer look at the rocket supporting tonight's mission.
And as we transition towards the T-minus 11-minute mark here, we are going to patch in a live view down from the jetty of Cape Canaveral. Thanks to Ty for being
Very similar to the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage, the MVAC engine has a larger nozzle that allows the second stage to perform more efficiently in the vacuum of space. Now, as you can see on your screen, the white portion of Falcon 9 above the black inner stage is the second stage. After the first and second stages separate about 2.5 minutes into flight, the second stage will ignite its MVAC engine to carry the payload to its desired orbit. Now, following separation from the second stage, we will be attempting to recover the first stage for a 12th time on our drone ship. Just read the instructions
of both the booster and the fairing as it makes its way back down to the drone ship. As they were saying today, booster 1051-12, the 12th time this booster it will be attempting to fly and land, a new record for SpaceX. As we come down to T-minus 7 minutes 20 seconds, we are coming to engine chill, which is when they will begin actually chilling the engines in preparation for ignition. They'll be flooding them to cool them down. The next major milestone we're going to be looking for is strong back retract. That's when the clamps that hold around the fairing will open, and the strong back, that white kind of truss structure behind the rocket, will pull back about 2 to 3 degrees just to help clear some space, and then during the actual ignition and liftoff, we'll have a larger swing away to about 45-degree angle. We are seeing a boat slowly coming into view here as it makes its way in. We were watching this one as it was out near the line of the exclusion zone, but well into the port at this point and clearing as we come down to T-minus 6.5 minutes until launch. If you guys have questions, you can let us know in the chat and we'll be answering those. And let me know in the chat. Can you hear me and can you see me? Because I'm getting mixed reviews here, which is always fun. Let me know. Well, it's not a cruise ship, I promise. It's a day cruise ship. I'm surprised they didn't just stay out a little longer. Would have had a great view. Shauna, you possibly. It is a north launch, so it won't be coming towards you like the last ones, but you might be able to see it off in the distance. Run, little cruise ship, run. It seems the cruise ships are a new thing. Do we need a t-shirt? It's like, run, there's a cruise ship. Let us know. On the stream right now, they're talking about SpaceX celebrating their 20th anniversary. Over the last week, they had mariachi bands arrive at launch sites, build sites, warehouses all across the country as they celebrated their 20th anniversary. And they're coming up to a big year, the orbital test flight of Starship, the return of Falcon Heavy, and maybe even seeing the first prototype of the human landing system or lunar starship. Ooh, Joe, I like that. I do like that. Crewed ship. There we go. We'll get that in the shop maybe tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. If you guys haven't yet, take a moment, check out our shop. We do have our new Space Launch System collection that we released, and it still is on sale in celebration of the rollout. We have a special commemorative t-shirt as well for the rollout, so definitely check those out. Another great way to help support what we do as we come down to T-minus 4.5 minutes. That strong back retract has begun. Justin, which ship is going to get the fairings? Great question. We have the drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, getting the booster, and Doug is the support ship. We also have the Tug Zion M Falgout that is out as well. The booster is going to land about 641 kilometers downrange, and the fairings about 670 kilometers. They take about 45 minutes for them to land. Now, one thing that is nice to know for today's mission is the fact that we are going to have telemetry as it is a launch to the north. So we've had a lot of stealth trajectories where we don't really get a lot of information. We don't get to see deployment, but hopefully tonight we will be able to see one of the first Starlink deployments of 2022. Jessica, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Kevin, next launch pod, we are planning next week to be back, and we'll go from there. The t-shirt should say launch path obstruction. We got some ideas here. You guys should, if you're free, jump over in the Discord after, and we might sketch some of those out. That's awesome, Shauna. You got about 2.5 minutes for it, because there is a little bit of a time delay for it. Totally agree, Ethan. We absolutely. But if you're just joining us, welcome. You're watching our live launch coverage of Starlink 4-12 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Excuse me. As we come down to that 2-minute mark, If you're regular around here, we want to see you using those go, no go emojis in the chat. If you're not a member, hit that join button, $1.99 a month. Great way to help us out and get access to our exclusive emojis. But let's see in the chat a go, no go. Weather's looking good, but as we come down T-minus 2.5 minutes, let's listen in to SpaceX mission control for the final count. Keep in mind, we're going to see the launch about 20 to 30 seconds earlier than SpaceX below me from our live view at the Cape Canaveral Jetty Way. So stay with us. T-minus 2 minutes, 8 seconds and counting.
Now we are approaching T-minus 2 minutes and should be wrapping up prop loading here shortly.
T-minus 90 seconds. We should hear the final go call here.
Complete. Now you can see there on your screen, we've got that venting of that liquid oxygen from the transporter erector lines there. And next up, Falcon 9 will be in startup around the T-minus 1 minute mark, so we should hear that call out as well. And that will be when the flight computers take over the launch countdown.
Waiting for that final call.
Now in startup, we are just waiting on the final call from the launch director.
T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds.
And with all systems go, let's listen in to the terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 carries our 53 Starlink satellites out to space.
And there, a beautiful night launch from the Jettyway at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. See the live views here from SpaceX in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff. Some incredible views as it peeks through the clouds. Starlink 4-12, booster 1051 lifts off for the 12th time from Slick 40.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying our stack of 53 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit. Now, just a few seconds ago, we did start to throttle down the engines, reducing the speed by decreasing the flow of the fuel to the engines. That's in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Some incredible tracking shots tonight.
We should be passing through max Q here in a few seconds. And we've now passed through max Q. So with that, we now have 4 events happening in quick succession. That'll be main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, second stage engine start 1, or SES1, and then followed by fairing deploy on the second stage. Now, main engine cutoff, or MECO, is where all 9 of those M1D engines will shut down, and that'll slow the vehicle down in preparation for that second event, stage separation.
And there is MECO on our live view below me. That should then be stage separation. And we'll wait to see second stage ignition possibly. Waiting to see that second stage light up the sky. Depending on how the clouds are, we may or may not be able to see it.
And back engine will light up and propel the second stage along with the Starlink satellites to orbit. And just a few seconds after that will be fairing deploy.
And there's MECO and stage separation. On your screen now, you can see a live view of the telemetry of both the first and second stage as the booster begins to make its way back down to the drone ship. Just read the instructions, about 640 kilometers downrange, and that second stage continuing its burn to bring those satellites up to an initial orbit just over 300 kilometers.
The fairing halves deploy from the second stage. Now, while SpaceX has reflown Falcon fairing halves since 2019, as previously mentioned, one of the fairing halves on tonight's mission is flying for the 4th time and the other for the 2nd time, and we'll be attempting to recover the halves again tonight on our recovery vessel, Doug. Now, first stage on your left-hand screen is making its way back to our drone ship. Just read the instructions. And on your right-hand screen, the second stage is currently on a nominal trajectory. Now, as stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will complete 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth, the first of which is the entry burn. That's where 3 of 9 M1D engines reignite and help slow the stage down as it re-enters into the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. Now, the second will be the final burn for the first stage, and that's the landing burn. Now, this is just a single engine burn that brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship. And again, these Merlin engines have 190,000 pounds of thrust, so that one single engine is just enough to help the vehicle touch down for landing. Now, if you're just now joining us, we've had a successful liftoff of Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station's Slick 40. Right now, you're looking at a live view of Falcon 9's second stage on your right-hand screen, the first stage on your left-hand screen, and it's currently making its way back to our drone ship. Just read the instructions. This is our 42nd launch of Starlink satellites overall. SpaceX's 11th launch in the first 11 weeks of 2022 is the 8th Starlink mission of 2022 and the 149th total overall SpaceX launch, which includes Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy.
And as the mission continues here, we'll see entry burn coming up in about a minute here as the booster begins to make its way back down towards the drone ship. The first of 2 burns as the booster makes its way back down. Hopefully the seas are calm enough that we may be able to see a booster landing view here tonight. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Take us at the launch pad. And if you are anywhere along the East Coast and got photos or videos of tonight's launch, make sure you tweet those to us over on Twitter at TLPN_official. We'd love to take a look at those and retweet some of them possibly as well. You can do so by clicking the link in the chat. Also, following the launch, head on over to our Discord. We'll be hanging out, chatting about today's launch and the rollout of SLS. For a little bit at least. It's the middle of the night already. Coming up on entry burn. And there's entry burn startup. Booster 1051.
And as you can see your left-hand screen lighting up, that is these 3 engines reigniting for this entry burn. This should last about 20 seconds long and help slow the vehicle down as it's entering back into the Earth's atmosphere. And as those engines shut off, that concludes the entry burn on the first stage. Now we are just about a minute or so away from the landing burn on the first stage. Again, that is just a single engine burn to help slow the vehicle down enough to touch down on our landing zone. That burn lasts about 20 seconds long as well, and just about 20 seconds after that, we should have SECO 1, or second stage engine cutoff 1, on the second stage.
And you are correct there, Yui. This was a launch to the northeast. First one we've seen in quite a while. We've seen lots of southern trajectories. So something we're more used to seeing with the north, which is why we should be able to see deployment here tonight. Heather, will you be covering re-entry and arrival of the ISS crew? We will, because there's an American on board. We did, as a crew, decide not to cover the Roscosmos launch today, just with everything going on in the world. But we are happy to see that it was a peaceful and good arrival at the ISS, and hope that everything stays that way and that they can do it for the science and the exploration. Coming up on landing burn.
Getting on the first stage.
We may or may not be able to see this live. There it is, landing burn startup.
That landing burn has begun. So let's see if we can land the first stage for a 12th time.
There's the drone ship. You can hear even the crew there. Aww, because the camera's cut out.
We had some great views, waiting for confirmation of first stage touchdown.
There she is.
There you can see it on your screen. Falcon 9 has touched down for this booster's 12th time. This marks our 104th successful recovery of a Falcon 9 first stage. Now we are waiting for SECO 1, that second stage engine cutoff. Should be here in a few seconds. Great news, landing our Falcon 9 first stage, flying for a 12th time, as well as touching down on a drone ship tonight. And we are just waiting for confirmation of SECO 1 and for a good orbit on the second stage. And we have a good orbit on the second stage. And there you can see on your screen the MVAC engine has shut down. So now we're waiting second engine start 2, followed by second engine cutoff 2, which is set to occur a little under 40 minutes from now. So we're going to take a short break until then. So sit back and enjoy the Space Tunes.
We're going to take some time, answer a few questions before we take a commentary break. But there we go. Booster 1051-12, successful launch and touchdown on Just Read the Instructions. The weather cleared, and actually a really beautiful launch. The crew cheering says it all. Absolutely. I love that the SpaceX crew still does this even after 145 of these missions. And keep in mind, she's on the West Coast at Mission Control. They're not even there in person. They're watching this all through their screens. So it's awesome to hear they still have that excitement after 20 years of SpaceX existing. So we do have about an hour until deployment. So we will be keeping our live views up there so you guys can listen in and watch for that. If you guys have questions, send those in the chat and we will be answering them here. Monty, so when will it pass over the United States on its first orbit? That will be... Let me double check that. Double check and see if we have an actual number on how long that will take when it'll reach the West Coast, because it'll come up from the south. Yeah, it'll come up from the south. Challenging my brain late at night. It's probably about 75 minutes or so. It'll come back over the continental United States there. So, good question there. Kevin, because there can be ads during live streams. Touchdown is, wow, the best all over. Compliment. Absolutely. Great to see. They still need to fix the cameras. There's really nothing they can do with them because of the vibrations that are caused by the launch, the ocean. It's pretty hard for them to be able to keep that signal. So we're just very lucky to have always had those views and have become a little spoiled with them. Justin, how hot do the Merlin engines get? Very hot. Very red hot for it. Let me see. The Merlin 1D vacuum is radiative cooled, but it can reach up to 1800. I believe. Oh, let's see. Want to just double check? I believe this is 1800 Kelvin, but I'd have to double verify that one. Yeah, it is looking like. Correct. Yeah, 1800, 16 to 1800K. Is where it can go. The actual nozzle itself won't melt until 2750, or near that is when it'll start to lose its structural stability. Shauna saw it for a brief moment, didn't get a great picture, so happy I just got to be here. That's awesome. Glad you ran out there and were able to see it. You saw a shuttle launch years ago and first time seeing you. That's amazing. I wish I got to see a shuttle. So glad you were able to see that there. Mars, does NASA have the authority to order one of Axiom's? No. This is a complete SpaceX mission. Also, Mark Vande is totally safe. Russia has never actually threatened to leave him on station. That was from Rogozin over on Twitter and some other people. Though are with Roscosmos has never said that. NASA and them have had maintained communications the entire time, and nothing has said anything. Now, I won't say they'll bring him home. Now, could something happen on the ground? That's where we're questioning a lot of stuff, because the United States has pulled out all their people from Russia. So I'm very interested to see how that works with NASA to bring Mark home, because normally you have Americans on site. So that part we're watching. But Mark's fine. But no, NASA could not order SpaceX to bring them home. Now, they could request it, or they could possibly look at denying Axiom being able to launch or at least dock to the station, because NASA is one of the main people on the space station, and for these private missions, all partner nations have to agree for them to arrive. Oh no, your headphone's broken? Oh no, that's not good. But for now, we're going to take a quick commentary break. You guys can keep sending in your guys' questions in the chat. Take them at the launch pad, and I'll work on answering those. You have the Discord. You can also head on over there and join us over in live comms. And while we wait for that second burn and deployment, head on over, check out our shop. Use promo code LAUNCHDAY. You can get 10% off of everything in the shop. And right now, all of our SLS collection is also 10% off, even without the launch day code. So definitely check that out. We are waiting for SECO 2 to occur in about 30 minutes from now, and then deployment a little bit after that. So stay with us right here on the launch pad as we await the second burn and deployment of Starlink 4-12 into orbit. Stay with us right here on the launch pad.
Now, coming up shortly, we have SES-2, or second stage engine start 2, and this burn will last just a couple seconds before we cut off the engine. And we're hoping to have some live views, so let's see if we can watch as the second stage, there it is, lights up and shuts down pretty quickly here.
Back engine startup. And cut off.
And there you saw for just a brief couple of seconds the second stage engine starting up and shutting back down very quickly there. Coming up next is the deployment of our 53 Starlink satellites. Payload deploy should occur at T+1 hour and 2 minutes, so we're going to take another short break, and we'll see you back here in about 16 minutes. Satellites. Now, if you're just now joining us, we had a successful liftoff from Space Launch Complex 40 a little over an hour ago, and we should be seeing our stack of 53 Starlink satellites deploying here in just a few moments. Let's see if we can get a live view of deployment here in a few seconds. And there it is on your screen. You could see those 53 Starlink satellites drifting away from our Falcon 9 second stage. Unfortunately, we lost that live view, but we did have visual confirmation of deployment. So that will bring tonight's webcast to an end. Thank you for joining us for our Starlink launch this evening. If you're interested in signing up for Starlink service, head over to starlink.com. As always, a big thank you to the FAA and the range for supporting all of our missions. And thank you for tuning in. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. See you again soon.
And just like that, we have the end of another launch, another great launch out of Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. That weather cleared really nicely here today, and they were able to get that launch out of there. We weren't sure that was going to happen, but the weather cleared just well, and we've been watching it, and they've actually detected discharges again in the area with the lightning, so it cleared just long enough for them to be able to launch 53 new Starlink satellites up into orbit, and they'll be continuing on towards to their orbit as they slowly fan out. And then we have another Starlink mission coming up in about a week or two. So SpaceX launching pretty much once a week. We've also got Axiom 1 coming up, as well as Crew 4. So lots of launches coming in the near future. But that's going to do it for us here tonight, here at the launch pad. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. Make sure, take a moment, hit that like button, and subscribe. It really does help us out, so you never miss another space news update, live launch coverage, or special event. And we've got a bunch of interviews coming your way this week, so make sure you stay tuned for those. Take a moment, share out the broadcast as well. Invite your friends and family to watch the replay. If you are watching the replay, comment down below. We'd love to see who made it all the way to the end during the replay. But another successful mission of Starlink 12-4 and the first ever 12th flight of a booster for SpaceX. But for now, this is Zach from the TLP Studios signing off. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.